Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let's get this fired up. First, I want to give a big thank you to the people who helped out on Thursday. Going right around the list, Bobby, Scott, Adolfo, and Jesse did a great job on the setup. Well done, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you to Roy for the water and for also talking with the various guests. And then finally, the biggest thank you goes to Miss Beatrice, who's the one who made it all happen. Without her pushing all of us, especially myself, would have never come off. So, great opportunity for us and a great learning experience. Now, this Saturday, I'm going to be going to Founders District is doing a marketing workshop from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Biola University. Works out great for me because it's close to home, and then it's also not taking up too much of their day. It's free, and they have free lunch. And Founders District always has pretty good lunches, so I'm excited about that. But one of the topics is how to do an open house, and one of the opportunities I think going forward for us, hearing from Harry and from Linda, they loved our program. They said the way we did the program was tight, on time, on schedule, very organized. What they see as our opportunity is let's get more guests from the business community. And an observation Bobby said was, I think our next open house, we should do it here during our normal business time, because that way the people who do come at that time are able to come after that, because there are several people that we had talked to that were interested, but then when they heard we met Wednesday at noon, they couldn't do it. So I think going forward we have some opportunity there. But it was a great job by everybody, and we really, really appreciate the effort that everybody put into it. And you guys have no idea how hard it is to evaluate Harry Ann's speech. That's very unfair. Yeah, it was very interesting. And then next week we are going to do our club evaluation and humorous speech contest. The evaluation part, pretty straightforward. We're going to have a test speaker here. And the test speaker just gives a normal speech, 5 to 7 minutes, and the evaluators each come in separately and give their evaluation, and then the judges vote on what they feel is the best evaluation. Now the humorous speech part is again 5 to 7 minutes, and that is an original humorous speech that the club judges, the judges here will vote on, and then send on to the area contest. So if you have a humorous speech, a funny speech you want to give, and want to practice it and take a shot at the area contest, then please let me or Adolfo know as soon as possible, so that way we can at least have 1 or 2 or possibly more entries into next week's contest. So we'll definitely do the evaluation contest, and anybody who has an interest in that, please let myself and Adolfo know. Adolfo will be chairing that, and he's going to be looking for help getting that set up. I'll help him with a lot of the particulars from our contest lap that we did in the spring. But the humorous speech contest is a fun one, and that, I think, if you have a funny speech in your pocket, you have one that you want to give, it's been kind of hanging around, and you want to bring it out and show it to the crowd, we really encourage you to bring it out for our contest. So we are going to do that next week. And we are a little bit under the gun because we found out from Area H1 that their area speech contest is in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from tomorrow, I believe. So they had kind of been waffling back and forth on dates, and when they told us what the date was, it's like, okay, so we have to get on it and get it done. So everybody have a funny speech out there, original speech, and I know from hearing a lot of you already that we have people who are very capable of that. I'd love to hear it.
So how many can join? There's only one?
There's only one winner. There's a winner and an alternate minimum that would go on to the area contest. But you can have as many people as you like participate in both. We've had people do both. So that's going to be the plan for next week, and we will send an email out with the details to everybody and say, here's what we're looking for evaluators, here's what we're looking for as far as humorous speech. And we'd like to have good representation from our club there, because I've heard a lot of you on both evaluations and on speeches, and I know what this club is capable of. I mean, just Adolfo's "I'm not afraid of electrocuted chickens" speech title from 6 months ago that still sticks in my head because that was so good. So anyway, let's get it going here. I'd like to first ask everybody to rise, and first ask Jesse to lead us in the invocation. Following that, I would ask Miss Linda Bell to lead us in the flag salute.
Okay, please bow your heads. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for this great day of life, blessed in health. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be on the Toastmasters, to develop ourselves the ability to public speak, and also the leadership skills. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
So let us face the flag. And
over the elections coming up and what it means to be in a free country where we can choose who governs us as we govern ourselves. 1, 2, 3. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Linda Bell. Thank you, Becky. And our Toastmaster today is a new member, but not new to any of us, obviously. She led us in our most recent open house and did a stellar job setting that up and coordinating that. And she's also been great at not only recording our meetings. I've had a chance to go back and look at some of the speeches in that. And tape is a great tool. It's a great tool to be able to see yourself talk. And for me, it's a great learning tool, and it's a great opportunity to say, wow, I didn't know I did that. I got to stop doing that. Because sometimes in evaluations in the course of the meeting, you don't realize certain tendencies creep up, and all of us sometimes are too polite to point that out. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to today's Toastmaster of the day, Miss Beatrice Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Wow. Can you guess what I'm feeling now? If you come and touch my palms, they're sweaty. If you put your hand on my heart, it's racing. And if you look at my face, I'm faking. So that's what's going on with me. Let me ask you, what is America's #1 greatest fears?
public speaking.
Exactly. And after that comes death in some ways. And once Jerry Seinfeld said that the average person at a funeral would rather be in a casket than to be doing the eulogy. So that's the scary part, and we use all kinds of techniques to overcome that fear, right? If you notice me, could someone even point out what I keep doing to overcome my fear?
Smiling.
Faking. And what else? You know, with me, I do the breathing technique. Like, you must have seen me acting like I'm busy, but actually I was I was breathing in and out. Though the crowd is familiar, though we know each other, but there are those trigger points, you know, that gives you the sudden adrenaline rush. And how do you taper that? You know, so what I came up with something. It's called a warm-up exercise among all of us. And who is ready to speak today? Probably it'll help them too. So, how many of you heard this song, Ghostbusters? Did any of you?
Yes. You know that song?
I've been trying.
I'm going to do a warm-up exercise here. And I'm going to say, and in that tune, you're going to play along with me. It's not going to be long, just a few seconds. Okay, this song, this rap song is like this for me. It's only for my warm-up exercise. That if you're afraid of public speaking, who you're going to call? Ghostbusters! Again, can I get a better one? Okay, if you need leadership skills, who you're going to call?
Toastmasters!
Louder!
Toastmasters!
If you want to win that job interview, who are you going to call?
Toastmasters!
Come on, you're making fun of me. If you want to ignite your career, who are you going to call?
Toastmasters!
Okay. Okay, so, well, this is my warming up session. Now let me come to the point without much ado. Let me introduce to you the meeting roles. And but before that, we have to let everyone know our club purpose. So we're going to allow Peter Doses, our president of the club, to introduce our club purpose to you, the mission statement.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The
Yes,
Toastmasters
sir.
mission statement, the mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every individual member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth.
Yes! So the purpose is loud and clear there. And now we come to the next role of the R counter, which is none other than Roy Fisher. He's going to help us off our crutches. There you go.
All counter is the person who counts and then relays back to each speaker or each participant the things that you do, usually unconscious, that are real distractions. Instead of being quiet, if you remember the old saying, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, don't be afraid to shut up instead of trying to fill in space. But they're basically space fillers, like or well, or I think, or you know. So basically the whole idea is give you feedback to realize that you're doing this thing that almost everyone learns to do as a child, just to fill up the space so nobody else interrupts and takes up their space.
All right.
Next comes the syntax sentinel, the grammarian, none other than Chuck Coder.
And the word
Drum
of the day is toastman. No, it's the word of the day is substance. And this is a word that we hear a lot, but sometimes we don't use it in the most meaningful way or colorful way. And it's an adjective, and we talk about substance as either a physical thing or it could be a mental, spiritual thing or a song, whatever it could be, but the way we could use it was the speaker had profound substance in the speech. No humor, but a lot of substance. So that's one of the ways that it would be used, and you need to use it in the table topics in order to qualify for the coveted ribbon, and also you have to use it properly. Substance. So everybody, one time. Substance. My goal is that all of you are going to use that word once, whether it's table topics or not, before the meeting is out. And I'm listening very carefully.
Yes, no substance abuse. Okay, now comes a very important role. If it hadn't to be for the timer, we won't be on time. We won't start on time, and everyone respects a person who stays on time. So let's be mindful of the time, and let me introduce to you again, one more time, Peter Dawson!
I'll take you on the road with me, because these intros are terrific. Okay, everybody, we know why time's important, and the reason why we have the light here. So when we hear our speeches today, Bobby, your speech, what's your speech length?
8 to 10.
Bobby's speech length is 8 to 10 minutes. So at 8 minutes, he will get the green. At 9 minutes, he will get the yellow light. And at 10 minutes, he gets the red light, and that's 30 seconds to wrap up. Scott's speech is 5 to 7 minutes. So at 5 minutes, Scott, you will get the green. At 6 minutes, you will get yellow. At 7 minutes, you get red, and then 30 seconds to wrap up to qualify for time. Table topics, as always, 1 to 2 minutes. 1 at green, 1.5 minutes at yellow, 2 minutes at red. Red stays on, 30 seconds to wrap up. And finally, our evaluations today, 2 to 3 minutes as always. 2 minutes are green, 2.5 minutes are yellow, 3 minutes are red, and 30 seconds to complete from that point. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
And the next most important role is the vote counter. Because we need to know how we did, right? So coming up to you to explain the whole thing in detail and showing us the ballot sheet too is Roy.
Hey, Roy. That's my boy.
Yes.
The substance of the club is you vote. This is a substance. So all that covered, when you vote after each speaker or each participant, I'll come around and collect your ballots. At the end, we'll tally them, and we will declare a winner.
And you can write use this space
It'll
too.
go right to that.
Explain this space too.
You can write on the space
Yeah.
any comments that you have about a speaker, good or bad, and those will be given to that speaker or that person, so they can again be assisted in both growing and in correcting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I neglected to say one thing during grammarian. The person that does use the word substance the most time in this meeting is going to get a special prize. And that would be a surprise.
Ooh, that's you.
And it's of substance.
A prize of substance we have. Hello. Hi, I'm Peter.
My name is Jaleel.
Julia. Julia, welcome. Come on in.
He's my guest. Nice to see you, Julia.
Nice to see you too. Nice to see all of you guys.
Well, also might add, so far, you've used it once, and Roy has used it once. And Peter's used
We
it
are
once.
to you too?
Oh.
Okay, let my speech be of substance. Let me talk about substance.
But substance has to have substance.
Yes.
And that's why I'm trying to make sense of substance. Okay, now comes the round. The first part of the Toastmasters is this. The first part is the speaker round, where we have 2 speakers here, and by now we should know that the competition is tough.
Yes.
But so let me give the privilege to our most respected evaluators to introduce their speaker. That's how it goes, right? To introduce the speaker to us. Evaluator for, let's see, 2 speakers. One is Bobby. The first speaker is Bobby Canseco, and the second speaker is Scott Jonacucci. The evaluator for Bobby Canseco is Chuck Koda, who will give an introduction.
I have an introduction on that.
Oh, I should give it or he?
No, you can just read it anyway.
Oh, okay.
This is
So,
a special.
let me introduce Bobby to you guys.
You guys?
Oh, to you people. To you, members, Toastmasters. Gosh, it's going to take me a while. Okay, welcome to today's presentation. It's part of Toastmasters International. Let me read the introduction what Bobby wrote here. Today's presentation is part of Toastmasters International, the Better Speaker Series. The Better Speaker Series is a set of programs offering additional information on basic speaking skills. Today's presentation will be given by none other than Bobby Canseco. Drum roll. Bobby Canseco is a past area governor and past assistant division governor. That's so nice to know. In his almost 7 years with Toastmasters, he assumed various club officers' roles, namely club president, VP education, club secretary, and sergeant at arms. His speech is titled, Beginning Your Speech. Welcome to Bobby! All yours.
All right, let me just set up this thing. Sure. All right. Make you a little bit constrained. Eight to 10 minutes. The first moments of your speech are critical to the success of your speech. The first 2 minutes, the speaker has the audience listening. They are listening carefully, and it starts forming each impression of the speaker and of the speech. Now, if the speech is dull, lifeless, and imaginative, the audience may be lost to the rest of the speech. However, if it's lively, exciting, imaginative, you guarantee that you get the full attention of the audience. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, honored guests, today I'm going to present to you criteria for a good beginning opening or for the speech. And I will later show you some of the techniques to make for a better opening for a speech. So, what's criteria number 1? Get the attention. Of course, the audience, they come from different parts. Some of them are still filled with thoughts about the traffic or what have you. So the first thing that the opening of your speech or the beginning of your speech is to get their attention. How do you do that? Maybe one technique is make your voice loud. Just one technique. The second thing that the opening has to do is to introduce the topic. Do not wait wait until the end of your speech before the audience discover what you're going to talk about. So he has to introduce the topic. Third, establish rapport. Just like our Toastmaster, he was smiling, faking, but he did a good job of establishing rapport. And last but not least, it normally has to be 5 to 10% of the speech. So it shouldn't take too long. Right. So now let's review some of the techniques. There are maybe 7, but depending on the time, we'll see how far we can go. One technique is state the importance of the topic. For example, having a great suntan is glamorous, but the overexposure to the rays of the sun can age your skin or can cause cancer. So we have to protect ourselves against the overexposure under the sun. So that's one way of saying, establishing the importance of the speech. Second, you can probably arouse suspense or curiosity. Let me give you an example. I play around the house slowly and could care less whether you come home or not, as long as there is food around, like chase imaginary characters. And folks, maybe you already recognize who I am, but I am Felix the cat. That's one technique. Tell a story. You can come up with an anecdote. Instead of maybe saying there were 2 men that went hiking, you can probably say, my brother Joel and I went to Mount, Timbuktu and started trekking the trails. So it gives you more a connection with the audience, There's a real person and not just an imaginary third person, like 2 men went up the mountain, you don't even know what the mountain is. So be specific in your anecdotes. Startle the audience. What do we mean by that? You could probably say that smoking kills. And there are probably more people dying every year than those killed in the battle in World War II and Vietnam combined. Startle them. Ask a rhetorical question. How many of you have seen or heard about Ghostbusters? Something that really would pique the curiosity of the audience. That's one technique. Begin with a quotation. One of my favorites is Mahatma Gandhi, when he said, to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Now there's one other favorite quotation I have with regards to Helen Keller. She was asked by a reporter, and the question goes this way. Madam Keller, what could be worse than being without a sight? And Helen Keller responded, it is to be sighted without a vision. To be sighted without a vision. Another technique is referencing the occasion. So you may be asked to give a keynote speech or whatever. Maybe it could be the inauguration of a new classroom. So you can reference that event. You can say, ladies and gentlemen, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we had this classroom devastated by flood. And because of your cooperation, your support, now we are inaugurating this modern classroom, complete with all this video equipment. And so that's one technique. And But that's not the only technique. But those are the most common techniques. What are the other techniques that you may use? It is like humor. You can come up with some funny anecdotes, or maybe say something self-deprecating, which is common. Instead of insulting other people, maybe you want to insult yourself. Or it could be a audience participation. You can ask them to stand up and say, "Follow me, Toastmaster." Toastmaster. So that's another technique. Or it could be a historical moment when, it could be Independence Day or Martin Luther King's Day, or whatever it is. How about the significance of that day? But what's really important is to make sure that the topic or your opening is relevant to the topic that you're going to talk about, relevant to the audience that you have, and relevant to the occasion. Now, some people, they come up with the beginning, write down the beginning of their speech after they have formed the body of the speech. Because that way, you're able to glean, first the substance of your speech, the main points of your speech, so that when you start forming your opening, you can touch on those main points, which will give the audience an idea of what you're going to talk about. And once you have written down your opening, memorize it. Because there's nothing more pleasant to hear than an opening line, well rehearsed, and gives the speaker credibility and integrity. So I encourage you to follow those 7 techniques that we discussed today. Set it down. When you give your opening, you'll get a first impression, which may be a lasting impression for the audience. Thank you very much.
That's incredible. So now, without much delay,
Point of order, if we could give Scott a moment or two to set up his
Oh,
PowerPoint.
okay. Sure. Yeah.
If you want, Madam Toastmaster, you could regale the audience perhaps with a joke or
Oh,
a funny anecdote or something of substance.
Should I
in which to
continue
fill the
my
time.
song?
That's the people in the world today.
Yes.
You can write in their notes.
Yes.
No, actually, for the sake of the newcomers, can I have all of you introduce yourselves, please? Jaleel is my son's friend, and he's a very persevering boy. He always wants to improve himself and loves to learn. So may I present to you Jaleel? Could you introduce yourself first?
Oh,
Yeah.
my name is Jaleel. I currently go to ITT Tech. I started June 18th. I'm majoring in engineering. Wait, that's not right, sorry. It's actually electrical engineering, which is really what I like to do, dealing with computers and things like that. And yeah, as you said, I am a friend of her son's. We grew up together for like the first 2 years when I first moved out here. It's just been quite pleasant. And yeah, that's pretty good.
Where are you originally from?
Oh, originally I'm from Bellflower, actually. It's like,
Yay.
hopped in here, like,
That's where our daughter teaches school.
that's pretty good.
Maybe she taught you.
Who knows?
Awesome. So may we welcome Jaleel? Okay, on to our next speaker, Scott Jonakuchi, who is my competition. I'm waiting for the day I'm going to beat him. So his evaluator is Adolfo, and Adolfo's going to introduce him.
Yes, Mrs. Toastmaster.
Yeah.
Scott Jonakuchi is gonna give today his project number 7 research group topic speech. In this particular speech, he will be collecting, he has collected information and is gonna give us support in his speech from that information.
and he will support the points and opinions with specific facts, examples, and illustrations gathered through his research. He has 5 to 7 minutes.
Awesome.
Now you can
So here you go, Scott. Welcome.
Thank you. Feeling better and living longer. Those are probably one of the 2 goals that almost everybody would love to have in their life. But how important is that to you? And how important is that to your own overall health? So fellow Toastmaster, distinguished guests. So today, right, our environment really controls our health. So what do most people do? So the fact is, if you do what most people do, you will get what they get. Right? A mentor once told me, right, common sense out there is not really so much common nowadays. So what do a lot of common people do? Well, a lot of common people, what they do is, a lot of us go to fast foods. And over the years, fast food is definitely growing and it's not stopping there. So 30 years ago, just fast food alone, Americans spending around $6 billion just on fast food alone. Today, in 2000 and beyond, we're spending almost $110 billion on fast food itself. Now, I myself, of course, is guilty of that. You know, occasional, we go to work, we go to school, and a lot of times we don't have time to really cook or, you know, have a good meal to ourselves. So it's very easy just to drive through. And they make it very simple, right? You drive through, you say 1, 2, or 3, and you're ready to go within minutes. So how can you really beat that? So that has been the most common way of people eating nowadays, is going through fast food. But if your goal is to live longer, feel better, and have important health, is that the best solution for you? So what do people do nowadays is that due to a lot of fast food eating, overeating, not eating the right amount of foods, obesity is definitely an epidemic that affects everybody. So around 20 years ago, around 15% of the population were considered obese. And over the years, I can see as more people eat, fast food becomes more available and more accessible. Today, almost 34% of people nowadays are considered obese, 1 in 3 people. So that's a very enormous amount. So with obesity, of course, people know that, you know, obesity leads to a lot of different degenerative diseases. And a lot of the most common degenerative diseases, of course, is diabetes. So they said that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services estimates that 1 in 4 people could be considered pre-diabetic, meaning that maybe they're not diagnosed as of yet, but they're on their way to. So 1 in 4 people. So a lot of these degenerative diseases, such as colon cancer, stroke, heart disease, diabetes. So these are diseases that used to happen in the past, right? Past diseases are influenza, where you kind of get from person to person, you really can't avoid it too much. These are all preventable diseases all through diet and lifestyle itself. So meaning that you have complete control over these diseases. So a good story for my family was around a year ago, you know, my dad went to the hospital to get a routine checkup. You know, he's in his senior golden years, and his doctor diagnosed him with colon cancer. And for me and my family, it wasn't a very big shock because a few years ago, my grandma had colon cancer as well, had surgery, and still going through treatment today for it. And now that my dad had it as well, you know, for me, I made the conscious choice for myself to not go out there and just treat it, but prevent it for myself. Makes sense? I can see the lifestyle choices my dad makes. You know, doesn't eat the best of foods, doesn't really exercise regularly, and over years at a time, a disease like that is developed. So they say that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Makes sense? And that for these diseases, probably the best way, or the best cure, is prevention. So a lot of people, when you go to the doctor, this is what a lot of doctors tend to do. Right? You go to the doctor, say, I have certain symptoms, and they kind of see only what's above the surface. Right? So, oh, I can kind of see this is what's going on. But what is really the root cause of a lot of diseases? Right? What is really what's going down and really dig into what's happening out there? So a lot of doctors will tend to do this, oh, you have a cough, or you have certain diabetes or cholesterol, let me give you a medication for it. So you can tell that over the years that around 43% of the population use around at least 1 prescription drug, right? Around 25% people use 2 or more, right? Around 5 more drugs as well. So isn't it true that sometimes we go to the doctor and they'll say, here, take this medicine. But you also need to take this one too, because if you need something for your heart, this one might cause anxiety, so you need one for anxiety. But if this one for anxiety, this may cause, you know, bowel movements, and you need to take this one, but this one may cause heart problems, so you end up taking a multiple use of prescription drugs. And ultimately, it really doesn't solve the root cause of the problem, right? It just kind of puts a band-aid over what's really going on. So
the best way to, of course, avoid a lot of these is through proper nutrition, right? Holistic diet and lifestyle. But are people getting the right amount of nutrition they need in their diet? So, for example, vitamin E, which is a very vital vitamin you need for your body for its overall function, about 90% of men and 97% of women don't have enough of vitamin E in their diet alone. Other such nutrients, calcium, magnesium, zinc, all fall, very, very low for what people essentially need in their overall diet. So people say, well, aren't RDAs there, right? What is the recommended minimum amount for you to have for your body to stay healthy? So the government says, why not have RDAs, right? You look at your label, you look at your supplements to see what they have. But RDAs, recommended dietary allowances, are the bare minimum. They're kind of like welfare for nutrition, the bare minimum you need to survive. But a lot of us, that's the bare minimum, but for us to prevent disease, we need the most optimal amount of nutrition. So optimal amount of nutrition, what you need is for your body that shows a health benefit. That's something that really helps increase and make you feel better and makes your body feel better. So for example, get a amount of vitamin C. You have to eat around 1,000 milligrams a day. So what is that equivalent to? So that is equivalent to around 10 glasses of orange juice. Now how many of you guys can really, on a daily basis, drink 10 glasses of orange juice to get your optimal amount of vitamin C? It's kind of very hard to do, right? It's around 1,100 calories alone just to get your right amount of vitamin C. So you can tell just in our diet alone, it's probably not enough. So a lot of people nowadays, what's the plan? It's gearing towards supplementation, right? Supplementation is a very important thing that people should need in accordance to their diet to making sure they can stay healthy. So it's prudent for all adults to take vitamin supplements. So even the medical community nowadays is embracing the fact that you should go out there and take supplements. So there's a lot of supplements out there, and people want to know, well, what is a good supplement versus a bad supplement out there, right? More than half of all the nutritional supplements out there don't really rate that very high in quality for you to have. So the best thing to do is, this right here I want to show you is a consumer guide. This consumer guide is the most easiest way to kind of see the stuff that you're buying in supermarkets or stuff that you're recommending from your doctor or from a friend that sees what is the best stuff for you to take. So just to make sure that you can have the optimal amount of nutrition you need in your body, and not just the minimum of the optimal amount. So this is independent research. It rates on 1,500 different kind of nutritional products on the market to see what's for you today. So my question is for you guys is that I know a lot of times when we're younger, we kind of sacrifice our personal health for wealth, right? We're kind of in a career, and a lot of us don't really pay attention to our health. But as we get older, it's kind of weird that we kind of sacrifice our wealth for our own health. As in, we spend a lot more on medication, we spend a lot more on treating disease. So might as well do something now, and ounce prevention is definitely worth a pound of cure. Make an investment into your health is probably the best investment you can ever make. Why? Because it has unlimited returns, and for you, the best return is, of course, is feeling better and living longer and having a very healthy, prosperous life. Thank you.
It's filled with substance. All right, so let's check on the timer reports and see if they qualify before voting for them. So may I request Peter Dawson?
Hello. Hello, Cleveland. City by the Bay. Got it. Bobby spoke for 9 minutes and 20 seconds, qualified for time. Scott spoke for 7 minutes and 29 and a half seconds.
Woo!
Right up out of it. Right to the edge. So 7 minutes and 29 seconds, so both speakers did qualify for time.
Okay, so can I get a moment of silence from you guys for voting?
From this crowd?
Correct me if I'm wrong. So vote for the best speaker and then hand it over to our vote counter. We'll be coming around to collect the votes. Okay, Should we move on to the second half of our Toastmasters program?
Indeed.
Okay. So now let me introduce to you our table topics master. None other than the charming and charismatic Jesse Alvarado.
All right.
Extemporaneous what? Teacher.
Okay, let's
Educator.
do it. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Jesse Alvarado, and I'll be the table topic master for the day. And the purpose of the table topics is to give you the opportunity to impromptu speaking. There's times and events you might be called at work or maybe a church or any place to maybe someone ask you a request to speak, and then this practice gives you the opportunity to be able to do that out there in the real world. Here's what we practice. And one of the qualifications, you must speak for 1 minute. Maximum is what, 2 minutes, right? Minimum 1 minute. And you must use the word of the day, substance. Okay? Question 1. Here we go. I know in the United States there's a lot of sports out there that multiple sports happening, we watch, people like different sports. However, question 1, what annually televised sporting event is an absolute must-see for you? Repeat again in case I'm not clear. What annually televised sporting event is an absolute must-see for you? Who's a sports fan here? Aha. Peter. In case you weren't.
Thank you for that question, tabletop master. I love a lot of sports, and I've played a lot of sports. One of the things that touched me about and really connect with me about Scott's speech is talking about health and the substance of our lives and having lives that can be active, because I've always played a lot of sports. I've been surprisingly played a lot of basketball and still have some reasonable skills. The hops aren't there as much anymore. The handle's a little slow. The stroke's gotten short, but I still have the skills. Played golf, I played tennis, played table tennis. I love playing table tennis. Even played hockey back in the day of the frozen ponds and the frozen tundra of Ohio. But I would say the one sport, the televised sport that I always watch, going back to when I was a little boy, would be the Masters, the golf tournament that's televised every April from Augusta, Georgia. And that was probably the one thing that got me most interested in golf, because here was, coming out of the cold winter in Ohio, here was this amazing spectacle, this beautiful golf course, trees, these giant pine trees, the green grass, the hills, the white of the sand bunkers, and watching, for me, when I was a young man, Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson and Lee Trevino and all these characters that had so much skill and so much charisma. So every spring I always watched that, because what it was served for me was a transition from the winter of Ohio, of playing hockey, of freezing, of wearing the skull caps, to the transition to spring, which to us was such a big deal then, because winter was so bad and summer and spring were so beautiful in Ohio. So for me, I always watched the Masters, going back to Jack Nicklaus in 1986, going back to watching Nick Faldo in 1989 and win his first Masters, to Tiger Woods coming out of nowhere in 1997 and totally dominating the course to the point where they changed the golf course to make it harder for him because he was so much better than everyone else. So even to this day, even though I don't play golf like I used to, I still like to play other sports. I always watch the Masters every spring because it takes me back to that wonderful transition from winter to spring into the sport that I always loved. Thank you.
Okay. I know when we're born obviously as a baby, right? And that's all we know. And then we carry our life from then on. And this question I have for you here, if you could travel back in time to meet anyone in your family history, who would you most want to meet? Roy. Who would that be? Let's hear it.
Back in my family history, my family has been in the United States for quite a few years. In fact, my mother's family was carpetbaggers. The Irish who went into the South and occupied the South and looted the country was able to establish their local dynasties. In fact, my great-grandfather was able to own a county in Alabama and in Chilton County. He was powerful enough to, remember this was the day of the telegraph, there were no cars, there was a railroad. So in the railroad station there was a post office, that pretty much controlled it, right? And my grandfather was powerful enough to make one son the postmaster, another son the station master, and the other son the sheriff. So, but my other side of the family was in the country longer. They're German, came in from the late 1700s when Germans were really disenfranchised, and then moved to Missouri during the effort before the Missouri Compromise to vote slave or non-slave. It was a very contentious time. And probably the person I would like to have been with would be my great something or other when Lincoln actually came through at that time. And had been with my grandfather when he met Abraham Lincoln. That is who I would like to have met.
Okay, we start our lives, right? Where we at? And we're adults, grown-ups, we're done what we've done in our lives, and we're still moving forward, right? We're still here. But let me ask you, if you could go back in time and restart your whole life again, what would you do differently, and why? Aha. Maybe an honored guest? Like to share with us?
If I can travel back in time and set right a few things, that would be using my time wisely, because I feel I wasted a lot of time just twiddling with so many different things. I would have invested my time in learning music, playing an instrument, then getting a correct direction of choosing my career. I have had two careers. One was I was a teacher, a high school teacher in biology and English when I was in India, and then when I came here, I became a preschool teacher because I couldn't deal with the older kids. And then after that, I changed my whole career into respiratory therapy. So I would have definitely changed the path I took regarding my education and extracurricular activities, and having more substance, more substance in what I did. Thank you.
That was great. Okay. Now we're going to call for timer.
Yes, Mr. Table Topics Master. Peter spoke for 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Roy spoke for 1 minute and 52 seconds, and Indira spoke for 1 minute and 28 seconds. So all three speakers did qualify for time.
Next, we're gonna call for a Remain report.
Yes. Roy used substance, but not in the table topics. Peter used substance, and see, Bobby used it because he wasn't in table topics. Scott didn't use substance, but he used supplementation. But that Jesse used substance once, and Indira, our new first timer, did use the word substance, so they qualify for that. And I would just like to say that so far, and I'm going to call it an end now, Beatrice used it 4 times, and Roy used it twice, so he qualifies for the prize. So this is the prize I have for them. It's a ruler with an adding machine in it. And it's from an old company I used to work for, so they're gone. So I can give them away now.
A slide rule with an abacus? How long ago was this?
Mine doesn't slide, I'm sorry.
Now we're gonna go ahead and vote for the best tabletop speaker.
Can we make it? I'd like to ask who are the ones that qualify or who didn't qualify?
The one, Peter used the word substance, and Indira used the word substance.
Thank you.
Qualify.
So let's vote for the best tabletop. Take a moment to do that. In the process, I'm going to return the control to Beatrice.
Okay.
Great job, Jesse.
Okay, now we come to the third part, the evaluation part. So may I introduce our general evaluator, none other than Adolfo! Come on. See, he's doing the breathing exercise.
Thank you, Mrs. Toastmaster. Well, this is what I call a dynamic meeting, since we are changing and doing the correct thing. Now, what is the agenda here? What is my agenda? My board agenda. Okay, now, thank you very much. During this part of our session, what we're going to do is I'm going to evaluate the meeting itself, but also we're going to do the evaluations of the speakers, and that's the first part. So I'm going to be actually doing the first evaluation, Peter will be doing the first evaluation, and that will be for Chuck. Chuck will do the evaluation for Bob. Okay, great. Got it right. Okay. So we will proceed with the evaluation of Bobby by Chuck. So let's please welcome here to our stage Mr. Bob, Mr. Chuck.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, and especially Bobby. Boy, that speech had some substance, did it not? That was one of the most substantive speeches that I have heard in a long time. And it has substance because he was able to make it relevant to what each one of us is here for, to learn how to give a good speech. Right off the bat, I like the way you opened. Your opening has substance, and you actually ended the speech referring back to the opening, which was one of the main things. I believe that you used more vocal variety in this speech than any speech I've ever heard you give. If maybe one of the things that you've been lacking in the past, your speeches are great, they have great substance, but many times you don't draw us in. And this time, I think you took some lessons from our Toastmaster maybe, because we were almost getting ready to say Toastmasters when you're going along. Your your gestures and your body language were really good. I mean, it was nothing that I could add to that part. You might, how could you prove? You might have ended with more emphasis regarding the topic and the title. Again, you ended with thank you. That's not a dramatic way to end a speech. You thanked us. For the visitors, it's just our human nature to want to thank people for sitting and listening to you. But really, the audience is the one that thanks the speaker. So if you would add with something more dramatic, the way you opened with your opening, and I don't know exactly what it might be. I mean, there could be a lot of different things, but you could say something like, "Don't drop your voice when you finish, Miss Toastmaster." Now, something like that would really bring us in. Again, everything you had was useful as far as substance. You snuck in, though, quite a few ahs in your transitions. Do not end with a thank you, and I said that already. One of the things you did was, which I really liked, was you reminded us to memorize the opening of your speech. One of the reasons that's so important is because if you get up here and you say the opening of your speech is really the important part, you lose them not only because you're reading it, but you drop your voice anytime you lower your head down. So that was a great reminder. I've seen that so many times, and that's the weakness on a lot of people's speeches, is they don't memorize the opening. And memorize it so it comes out interesting. I forget, I saw one of the speakers at the RNC, or it might have been the Democratic Convention. They had a very good speech, but like they were reading it. And I guess they were looking at the monitor, I'm not sure, but it was, we both commented on it. So since I see the red light going, that's all I can tell you of substance. And I thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your evaluation. That was very substantive information that you provided us with.
It's too late, they already got the prizes.
Just in case,
I want to put substance in yours.
So, okay, very well. So we will continue now with the next evaluation. We will be done by myself about Scott's speech. So I will start with that evaluation right now. Okay. The capacity to speak, documenting your information, documenting what you are expressing. That's what this speech was about, research your topic. And I think Scott gave us information well documented, even with graphics. He didn't have to, but he did. And he provided us with a subject that was very, very interesting to all of us, our health. It is really, without doubt, a very good example of a well-documented speech. I will point out the good points, and I'll mention some of the points to improve on. I think you apply the subject to the audience very well, and you research the topic very well. The ideas were supported well. In other words, as you were speaking, you had your slides showing what you were talking about, which was great. And also, there was a lot of variety in the information. The slides had a lot of information, very well supported. You did your homework during this speech. You looked and searched for it very well. Also, it had a clear purpose. And the organization that I like a lot is that you provided us with a problem, you know, the reason for the problem, but at the end, actually, you provided us a solution too. You show a graphic of a book, and then you have it right there. That was very visual, very impacting for us to see a picture of a book, and there you have it. That was excellent, and you move forward like I just did, and that was really good. Oops. And I thought that was an excellent way to organize the speech. About the actual delivery, or if you look at your gestures, very well, you spoke clearly, and the diction and the vocabulary was great. I would suggest the following for improving this, because we're talking about research your topic. So I did notice in your slides, you had some of them came from the Fast Food Nation, I read, and the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. what I would suggest in a speech like that is to actually mention those, to mention the sources, right? So you can say according to, and you mention the source itself. That's extremely important because that's what the subject is here, right? We want to document that. It was there in some of the slides. I saw it, you know, it was indicated in small letters, and that was also good. But the idea is to mention those sources so that you are supported. You know, the people that hear you understand that it's not you coming out with the idea, but it is somebody else or some organizations that have studied that example that you gave. One more suggestion I have is in your excellent speech that you gave is to also slow down a little bit. Use more the graphics. In this example that you use graphics, the graphics allows you to speak less, really, if you use it smartly. You can show, and you don't have to, after showing it, you don't have to really say too many words. Hopefully, they will get it from the image. But I think the speech, I enjoyed it very much. And for whatever validity, I think it had a lot of substance to me anyway.
He wants a ruler.
Too late. Nice try.
Okay, actually, very good. Now let me continue with the evaluation of our meeting.
Mr. General Evaluator,
Yes,
could we have the timers report
yes.
first?
So next is, please, Mr. Timer Reporter, give us the time evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Chuck spoke for 3 minutes and 13 seconds, and Adolfo spoke for 3 minutes and 20 seconds, so both evaluators qualified for time.
All right, thank you very much. And now we need to call for, please vote for the best evaluator, if you may. Remember, you can write also at the top comments to the evaluators, or any speaker, you know, on what they have, how they have done, how you think they have done. Now, while you do that, let's see, people are doing that. I'm gonna wait because of the next activity. Everybody voted, good. Very well. Now, our vote counter is really who's going to give us an accounting report. So here we have with us Roy, and he's going to give us a report on the account.
We have to wait a moment because.
No, it's just a report on accountants. You don't have to count them yet. It's accountants.
Oh, oh.
No.
Yeah, let's see now. Pause. Bobby had one at the beginning in his setup, and 2 ahs for the presentation, and an as in, remember Gandhi's quote, Scott had none, Peter had none. Adolfo had 2 ahs as in yes, or rather 1 and 2 so's as in yes, so, or right, so. Indira reflects South Asian English with no use of the ahs. I've never heard anyone who is from South Asia use those types of things. Chuck, of course, being the pro, never did. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Accountant, for your report. Now I will give some comments on the meeting itself. Notice we have all the setups correctly. The word of the day was there on the board. The only thing we don't have is, yeah, we do have the date, so that's good. And one more thing that I need to say, in addition to the positive side, which is always dynamic meeting, as we know, things change and we have to adapt to them. And, there is some people, unfortunately, cannot make it, and then we have to fill up those spaces. And I think we are doing good in that. We're trying to do that as best as we can. I think we do very well. One thing we have to improve is we need to improve our timing when we start here. We need to be better than noontime. I am arriving at noontime. No, we need to do it earlier than that. So we want to be earlier here. I'm usually here an hour earlier, but you know, you don't have to be an hour earlier. Today I had a flat tire, by the way, so JC gave me a ride. Yeah, you know. So that's what happens. You know, you adapt, right? And that's what I did. I have to adapt to my situation today. And I wasn't as early as I wanted, but you know, we know what to do. So it's just a matter of being present about it, right? Being aware of it, so that we use it consciously. Then we give it the importance, and we know, oh, we have to be there early. Come on, let's be there. So I think we're going to achieve that next time, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Very good. Thank you. Well, now, having said that, I would like to return the control to the toast. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a question.
Oh, no, I apologize. I left out something was a very egregious mistakes in grammarian. And one of them is I'm so used to the word winter for winter that I wasn't sure when Peter used winter, going from one season to the other. Winter, I kept listening. The word should have been winter, I believe, and it was winter. And then the other one is someplace in the United States that I've never heard of. Roy used the word Missouri, and I'm not sure where Missouri is, but those things should be correct.
Talk about Missouri.
Pronounce it right, it's Missouri.
And if you're from Missouri, Illinois is pronounced with an S, so it's Illinois. Yes.
There you go.
That's only in the winter.
Okay, all right. Very well, so thank you very much. And now I return the control to our Toastmaster.
All right.
Okay, can I pass on this control to our president?
Hey,
All right.
please give a rousing round of applause to our Toastmaster for her enthusiasm,
Thank you, guys.
for outstanding enthusiasm, keeping us on our toes, and
Love it.
the awesome rap / sing-along.
Yep.
I would have never thought of that because I would have never had the gumption to even try that. So thank you. A couple things, guys. Again, next week we're going to do our humorous speech and evaluation contest. So please, especially humorous speech, evaluation contest, I think we're going to get a good representation because all of us now have had a little bit of experience in giving evaluations. But the humorous speech one is the fun one. And I've gone to a couple of the contests now, and I've heard some tremendous, really, really funny speeches from people that I've known that I would have never expected it from. So I know that that is inside of everyone. We just have to tap into it a little bit. And it's a great way to expand your speechcraft as well. And then the other thing is to expound on Adolfo's point, talking about how, you know, obviously everyone here is busy. We have all kinds of different things going on, different stresses, different goals. But I really appreciate the fact that when we are here, we're present and we're able to adjust. And also the fact that the preparation, and that's difficult to do as well, is reflected in the speeches that we heard today. Obviously, both our speakers are very well prepared, gave very good speeches, and I think that reflects well on not only the individuals but the club as well, because people are coming here with everything else going on, with the traffic, time of day, getting here on time, but when they get here, the people that are here are present and really involved in the meeting. That's very important. And then finally, and actually most importantly, we do have a new member here. We referred to her as a guest, but she's not a guest. She is now a new member of our club, and please give it up for Indira.
She's got substance.
She's got substance. And Indira, as soon as you get your materials from Toastmasters, which should be within the next week, and get your book, we'd love to hear your icebreaker speech. Adolfo and myself could go over that with you in 4 to 6 minutes, and you get up here and tell us a little bit about yourself. And it gives us a chance to evaluate what tools you're already bringing to the table, and then what areas of improvement. So looking forward to that. Chuck?
And I might add too, Indira, that if you go on the website, they actually have the icebreaker outline on there. So if you could copy that, same thing that's in the book that you're going to be getting. So that way you get a head start on it. So.
Yes. It's a great way to take some of that mystery out of the icebreaker speech. So with that, if there's no other announcements, nothing else going on. I'm sorry, Roy, could you please bring up the coveted ribbons?
Yeah.
There it is.
Who are you going to call?
That was good.
I'll call it awful and call the evaluators.
evaluators today. The winner is Adolfo Morataya.
Hold up that ribbon.
All right.
1, 2, 3, cheese.
Breathe.
Well done.
Good job.
And secondly, winner for table topics is Kira.
There you go. That's how you do it.
Bravo, well done.
It's a surprise.
No, sure.
Hold up that ribbon.
Can
Smile.
we get a picture?
1, 2, 3, cheese.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Very good job.
Now the tension is.
Finally, our winner for Best Speaker of the Day amongst two of our very worthy candidates. The winner is Bobby Cancel.
Bobby knows about the pictures. He's been around.
1, 2, 3, cheese. Big smile. Well, not that big.
Thank you, Bobby. He's got a whole room in his house, by the way, wallpapered with those.
Get a warehouse
It's
now.
not the first time. Okay, guys, so if there's no other business, I know we're running a little bit late today. I hope everybody has a great week. Keep your eyes open on your email for information on the speech contest. Please think about participating either in evaluation or in humorous speech. Again, like I said, humorous speech contest, especially for someone like me who's kind of buttoned down, it's a great chance to kind of break into an area that might be a little uncomfortable, but that can open up a whole new aspect, especially in storytelling. So I really encourage everybody to participate. Adolfo.
Just wanted to mention, I already have a person for next week's speech, speakers, and I know I have you for that. And anybody who would like to participate, just communicate with me, please.
Yes, so next week, we're not going to have scheduled manual speeches. It's going to be the contest only. We're going to do the evaluation contest, and then we're going to do the humor, no scheduled speeches for next week. So, yes, John?
Now, on the humor speech, it has to be an original speech or humor or joke, but you can take an old joke and infuse it with new life.
Yes.
Give it new substance, as they say, and it would qualify.
Juice it up, in other words.
Yes, that is correct. So you do have a little bit of leeway. It's not like you have to create something out of whole cloth.
Right, exactly, yes.
It does have to be something that you have, you can't take, for example, a Jerry Seinfeld routine and bring it on, whole cloth or Robin Williams or, Louis C.K., Phyllis Diller, and do a routine in that respect. There does have to be the element of originality to it. So looking forward to that next week. So
And it has to be a speech. It
Yes.
cannot be just a series of one-liners.
yes.
It has to
No
be-
stand up.
No stand up. Bobby's correct. It does have to be a speech. So generally
Story.
a story. So yeah, a story is the great way to do it. So okay guys, with that we are adjourned and we will see everybody next week.
All right.